Before you go into the comments and absolutely rip me for having this opinion, saying that WrestleMania 30 is overrated, genuinely hear me out on this. Because I don't think that this WrestleMania is a bad WrestleMania per se. But in terms of people saying it's one of the greatest of all time, I disagree completely. People putting this in top 10 lists for WrestleManias, I completely disagree. And maybe after watching this video, you may have a change of heart about this and maybe even agree with me on this. But let's find out. First thing I want to mention, I'm going to be talking about the matches specifically. There are some backstage segments on this show. I thought it's 2014 WWE where it's kind of still in that PG era where it's kind of goofy and kind of cringe. Some of them were good. Some of them it was that type of weirdness that they had back in the day. But I do want to talk about the opening promo with Hulk Hogan, Stone Cold, and The Rock. That was really good. All three of them having a moment, all of them, doing all that. That was great. But I will talk about the matches specifically. That's kind of where my opinion stands on it being overrated because of all the matches on the card. In terms of Daniel Bryan versus Triple H is the opener. The Monster video package was phenomenal. The match was also phenomenal. Daniel Bryan did phenomenal babyface work. Triple H did phenomenal heel work. Stephanie McMahon also did phenomenal heel work in this match. I will say this: Daniel Bryan honestly is in contention for one of the greatest of all time. I have in my 4 videos I made, I've probably mentioned how good Daniel Bryan is a couple times, but I genuinely think he is in that conversation. But I will say, he is also the best at being that underdog babyface, making the person watching want him to win. He is so good at that, and I think he played that role phenomenal in this match specifically, and also the main event, which I'll talk about later. And like I said, Triple H did great in this match too. Was it incredibly predictable for Daniel Bryan to win this? Absolutely. But did they do a great job at making you want Triple H to lose? Absolutely. People try to act like Triple H was just absolutely terrible. And I think that does stem from people just not liking him as a person right now and not liking his booking right now. You cannot act like he wasn't really good at what he did. I'm just saying. I really like the finish, the German into the knee. I'm pretty sure that's what it was. The crowd was so behind it. I do want to mention that. The crowd, obviously they were behind Daniel Bryan. That was the entire point of that whole yes movement and the entire deal with that. I think that this match overall was really, really good. And one of the highlights on the show. Probably the best match on the show, in my opinion. This one will be a way shorter one. Next match on the card, Kane and the New Age Outlaws versus The Shield. This match was a squash. Pretty basic. I don't like squash matches on a WrestleMania, especially with... imagine if... with how this match had this card had 7 matches on it. One of them being a squash is not perfectly ideal, in my opinion. And obviously it was after The Shield started, and they were really trying to show them as a dominant force. Obviously, that makes sense. But putting a squash match on WrestleMania, in my opinion, is not the greatest idea. Once again, with a 7-match card, that kind of isn't amazing. Here's the thing with now. There's 16 matches across both nights. You can probably put a squash match on there. But also, I don't know. This was, like I said, very short match. Shield squashed Kane and the New Age. It was very standard for a squash match. Not much to say about it overall. Next match on the card was the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal, which ended with Cesaro doing the body slam on the Big Show to win. Here's the thing with this match. Phenomenal moment for Cesaro. But here's the thing. Look at who was in the match. It is mid-carders. There is Sheamus, Big Show, and Cesaro. Those are the 3 people that could have at least won it. I'm pretty sure the Great Khali was in there. All these, but at the time, just a bunch of mid-carders. Obviously, there's a lot of people in this match, like Woods, Big E, Cody Rhodes, Rey Mysterio, Drew McIntyre was also in this. All these people that became main eventers later, or bigger stars, well-known stars later. But at the time, they weren't doing nothing. Like Cody Rhodes was a mid-carder, Drew McIntyre was a mid-carder. Big E wasn't doing much. Like in terms of star power, if you look at it from 10 years later, obviously it's cool, but like at the time it was just a bunch of, it's like the 40-man Royal Rumble in 2011. A bunch of jobbers, and then there's also like John Cena and Sheamus were also in there as well, I'm pretty sure. Randy Orton was in there at the time. That's a whole other video I can make about the 2011 biggest 40-man Royal Rumble. I can do a whole thing on that. But also, if you look at this match, the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal in hindsight, Cesaro winning didn't do anything for him. That whole moment with the Big Show didn't do anything for him. They didn't do anything with him after. And obviously, you can blame the booking later with that. But kind of looking at it in hindsight, it's like, yeah, it was a really cool moment, but it didn't really lead to much. So that kind of does lower it down, but that's not really, fair. Especially, at the time when people thought that it would turn into a big moment. Next match on the card was John Cena versus Bray Wyatt. This match is something. I'm not going to say that. That is kind of rude. But, here's the thing. It's John Cena and Bray Wyatt in 2014. The match was bad. It was boring. Like I said, it's John Cena and Bray Wyatt. Was Bray Wyatt ever that good? Let's be honest. As a character, he was phenomenal. We know that. And John Cena is good. Like I said, we also know that. But, just those two, they don't mesh together. The storyline was kind of weird with the whole legacy thing. And just bad booking, too. John Cena winning was just stupid. There was no... Bray Wyatt, do that whole storyline and Bray lost. I don't know. That's just stupid in my opinion. Trying to turn Cena to the bad side and then he just wins. I don't get that. He didn't even cheat. He didn't turn and Bray won because of that. No, he just turned. Cena didn't turn and then he won. So it made Bray just look bad in that whole entire thing. It just did not work. And it was just, I don't know, it was a mess in my opinion. The match wasn't good, the booking was bad, and it was just, it was a weird, I don't know, I did not like it that much. Next match on the card, we have The Undertaker versus Brock Lesnar. This one is infamous for the streak ending, and this is a partial reason why I don't like this match. I think it was the wrong booking for Brock Lesnar to win this and have the streak be ended in general. I think if the streak was going to end, it should have been CM Punk, because that whole storyline, CM Punk was red hot. I think that honestly would have worked really well. Or if you're going to have the streak end, have it be Roman Reigns at WrestleMania 33. I think if you're going to try to catapult Roman Reigns to the top of the mountain, have him beat The Undertaker at WrestleMania. I understand, honestly, the reaction would have been even worse if he broke the streak straight up instead of just beating him like he did already. But honestly, like I said, the WWE at that time didn't give a shit about the fans' reaction to Roman Reigns. They were just going to shove him down their throats anyways. You may as well do that to really catapult him as the next big thing. But anyways, that's a sidetrack. This match itself was just bad. It was boring. Undertaker got a concussion, I'm pretty sure, pretty early in the match. It was just sad. I think this is where it kind of showed, in terms of Undertaker matches, it kind of showed that he was kind of winding down. Overall, like I said, the big moment, and it was weird, because it got to a point when the actual streak ended. It was obviously surprising, but it was also like a abrupt, I guess, ending, because the crowd already didn't really care for the match in general, and then they already just assumed to kick it. Here, it was obviously a big moment. But, overall, the match was bad. It wasn't great. For that to be the match where the streak has ended, that's not good, in my opinion. You could have also had WrestleMania 28. I was going to talk about that. The sweet chin music into the pedigree. And the streak ends. That is completely fine, in my opinion. But you kind of had, instead of doing it at two really good matches, you did it on a bad match. And that's kind of, I don't even think it's a bad match because of either of them. It was just Undertaker was older, and the concussion ruined that match, in my opinion. I will say though, Paul Heyman's facial expressions were phenomenal. Paul Heyman is fantastic at that type of stuff in terms of he did so good in terms of acting on that, and that is a plus I will give in terms of this match. But there's not many of them, I'll be honest. Next match on the card was the Vicky Guerrero Invitational. It was AJ Lee defending her Divas Championship against 14 other women. Putting this match on after the streak was ended was not a good idea. This was the era when WWE didn't care about women's wrestling, and the fans honestly didn't either. This match was about 6 minutes, and AJ Lee retained. There's not much to say about it. And putting this match on after one of the craziest moments in history is not going to do good for it. And also putting this on right before the Daniel Bryan winning the titles is not a good idea. They put this in a bad spot, and they kind of just... it was like 6 minutes long. Didn't do much. It was pretty miscellaneous. It did not... like I said, it was a women's match at that time. Getting 6 minutes was honestly pretty high for them. Like, I don't know. Like I said, it was that time we didn't really care about women's wrestling. And that's kind of the... like I said, this was a very miscellaneous match. AJ Lee didn't even... she forced Naomi to tap out. Naomi didn't even tap out. It was just like I said, very, very, very miscellaneous. Didn't do much. Once again, putting it on after one of the biggest moments of WrestleMania history did not help it at all. And it was not amazing. And the final match on WrestleMania 30, Daniel Bryan versus Batista versus Randy Orton for the WWE Championship. I guess both of them, the World Heavyweight and the WWE Championship. First of all, I want to talk about the booking for this. Batista winning the Rumble was fucking stupid, and we all know it. They leaked the return beforehand. They brought him back, and the crowd hated every second of it because they wanted Daniel Bryan so bad, and they should have just had Daniel Bryan win the Rumble. I do not care how much they didn't care for him. They should have just went with the fans. I understand, like I said, talking about Roman Reigns, they didn't give a shit about the fans. But you can listen to the fans one time. That's a time where you listen to the fans and give Daniel Bryan his moment. That would have been a way bigger match. Randy Orton versus Daniel Bryan, just straight up. There's already a story with that, with the cash-in. I'm going to make a video about that, the cash-in at SummerSlam 2013. There's already a story there. You may as well do that match. Batista being in it didn't do nothing, in my opinion, other than just a big star being in the match. I don't know. But overall, like it's the triple threat match. It's a really good match. Another case of Daniel Bryan being the underdog. Daniel Bryan being really good at making you want him. Just the same thing with the Triple H match. Just you can say with Daniel Bryan. And I'll talk about the RKO or the neck breaker, Batista bomb and RKO combination that they did. That was nasty. I think doing the medical stretcher spot was a little too much in my opinion. I feel like that was kind of a little too much of, hey, he's really the underdog. I don't know. I think you could have just taken him out of the match, period. I don't think you need to do the super underdog type of spot that they did with that. I don't know. I'm not going to complain about it. Obviously, it sounds... Here's the it would have been insane, by the way, if Daniel Bryan just didn't win. That would have been... Dude, imagine. That would have been crazy. Obviously, they went with it. Daniel Bryan running knee to Batista. Batista tapped to the S-Lock. It was phenomenal. Great match. Great outcome. Great moment. Great everything. Really good. This whole thing was really good. The whole thing was really good. I don't know where I was going with that. But overall, there were 2 matches on that card that I enjoyed. On a 7-match card, there were 2 matches that I thought were really good, and the rest were kind of not amazing. I'm just saying that's kind of my opinion on that. For people to like I said, the moments are amazing. Daniel Bryan winning the titles, amazing. But like, the streak ending, that's a big moment. Doesn't matter what the booking was or whatever. Big moment, but like one of the best manias of all time with that card. The card was decent, but like the matches weren't amazing. The stories, I don't know. This whole WrestleMania was the Daniel Bryan WrestleMania, and everything else was kind of just there. And all the stuff that was kind of just there wasn't great in my opinion. I don't know, but that's all I gotta say about it. Let me know your opinion in the comments about some of my takes I said in this video. If you disagree with them, tell me in the comments. If you disagree or not, or anything. I don't know. Lastly, what's the one motto we always follow? Fuck the Canes. See ya.